is something that we are currently lacking. We don't have a standardized methodology for assessing the smartness of buildings with on-site audits. We have 2 European regulations which were announced in 2020, but we don't have the step-by-step procedure announced. And what we aim to do as a project is to support this, let's say, development of the SRI and the establishment of the SRI by proposing a step-by-step procedure for collecting the information required for the SRI. I would like to give you words on the methodology that we are developing. We have identified the fact that an auditor who aims to deliver an SRI will need to have a walkthrough audit in a building. And this means a step-by-step audit in a similar manner as we do in the case of energy audits. So when we are conducting an energy audit, we have to walk through the building, go on site, document some information, and then extract our conclusions and deliver our results. We have a standard for that. That is a 16247 standard. This is a European standard, but it is applied in almost all EU member states, I assume in Bulgaria as well. And our purpose is to develop and deliver a methodology which will be based on this standard and which will adapt the on-site audit on the needs of the smartness assessment of a building. So in order to do that, we have done a first exercise in which we have considered all 9 steps in an energy audit, and we have filtered out those elements that are required for an SRI audit, for a smartness assessment audit. And we have resulted in a preliminary assessment, which is the one shown in this slide, in which we describe 7 steps that we considered as required for implementing an SRI assessment in a building. And actually, what we did was that we proposed to SEN, together with ASRO, the Romanian standardization body, to create a workshop in order to deliver a report, a SEN report that will describe this procedure. This was initiated last March. These are the 7 steps that I have referred to. So a preliminary contact with the ODT, a startup meeting where we define the boundaries and the topic of the assessment, the data collection stage in which we describe which data should be collected for the smartness assessment of the building. We also have the field work, and in the case of the SRI, it's just for confirmation and validation of the building automation and control systems that are installed in a building. I would like to emphasize that at this point, the SRI is an asset-based methodology. So we do the assessment with the equipment installed. We don't do any measurements. We don't get any operational information. We just consider let's say, building automation and control systems that are installed. Then we do the analysis of what we document as installed equipment. We deliver a report, and we have a final meeting with the ODT to deliver this report. So these are the 7 steps that we have filtered out from the energy audit method. And actually, we describe these steps in some flow charts, and we have also delivered some templates for the auditor to fill in during this audit. We also have the tools that we develop where you can document quickly this information, but we don't recommend the use of the tool at the audit stage. At the audit stage, we need to keep the information, the evidences, the documentation. We have to have, let's say, all evidences available, and then we use the tool. Now, as said, we have already delivered these templates, which you are given. You are sent these templates. It's in the annex of the report that you are given before this roundtable discussion, where you document all the information for the automation and control systems. And we have initiated a SEN workshop. I would just like to show you the timelines of that. This was initiated in January 24. We had the kickoff meeting in Brussels in March 24, and we already had 3 meetings with the members of this workshop. And our purpose is to finalize the report. You had a draft of the report to finalize this by this November 24, and by January 25 to have this as a SEN report. This will be the stepping stone perhaps for a standard. We don't know that in the future. That will include this procedure for a European standard. In any case, this is the first standardization work that is conducted for the SRI. We don't have any other standards for the SRI per se. We have standards for automation and control systems, but for the SRI, this is the first standardization work conducted. Okay, so I don't want to keep more of the time because according to the plan, after 20 minutes, we need to start. We have some questions. Antonia will help us with that. I will also take place with you for clarifications if required. Thank you.
So thank you very much, Paris, for this introduction of the work that are already done in this field. And I would like to start with a very, very short round of introduction of our expert. Just your name, and do you have any experience with SRI, or it's your first meeting with this assessment methodology? And of course, what is your expertise in? I would appreciate if you... Is it work? Yeah, okay, so.
Okay, hello, my name is Zdravko Georgiev from Sofia Energy Agency. I'm involved in as also an evaluator of some projects for SRI and implementation of SRI tools, and that's why I'm here to discuss this.
Hello, my name is Alexander Stanko from NEffect. I also do few SRI assessments, and yeah, that's it from my side.
Hello, my name is Stanislav. I'm also from NEffect. Well, I haven't done any SRI assessments, but I read a bit about SRI, so more or less I know what it is and appreciate any new knowledge gained here.
But you have some hundreds of energy audits, am I right?
Hello, my name is Atanas Stoikov, an HVAC engineer. My experience with SRI are more on the literature review basis, but anyway, I think I could be useful in this discussion.
Hi to everyone. My name is Christian Novakumov. I'm from Diamant BG. This is an energy auditing firm, and I successfully graduated SRI online course, and I have a little more experience when I took that course with 10 buildings of different type, and so I can be useful and I can share some details about the assessment of building step by step. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Anna Petkova from AMP Consult. I'm an energy auditor, and my experience in SRI is very short. Thanks to the colleagues from NEffect, we started to cooperate a few months ago, so thanks for the opportunity.
Hello, my name is Angel Nikolaev. I represent Black Sea Energy Research Center, and we are working on a project, sister project called SRI Enact, developing SRI assessment tools, training of auditors, and assessment of 130 buildings finally at the end of the project in Bulgaria.
Good afternoon. My name is Petar Kamburov. I'm also working within Black Sea Energy Research Center for SRI INAC project. And now it's the process of our first SRI assessments in Bulgaria. Our scope of work is to assess 130 buildings. For the time being, we have already successfully assessed about 50 buildings, and we have some preliminary result to communicate if somebody is interested on. Thank you.
Okay, so thank you very much. I would not lose any more time, so I will straight to the questions. And my first question is, in your opinion, after the Paris presentation, what is your feeling about this 7-step methodology? Do you think it's applicable in our context? Is it possible to combine with our energy audit procedures? Does anybody has something to say on that? Stan?
First of all, I think that all the information that is needed for the SRI assessment, we collect during the development of energy performance certificate of the building. So we just have this information. We need the proper tools to make the assessment. What is important for me to make it, let's say, more to make it penetrate the market is actually to present information in a simple way that will be beneficial for the building owners. Otherwise, it's just a simple exercise we're doing without any benefits. And the other important thing is to make it cheap, because of course this is additional effort for the auditors. So if we have the proper tools and it is not taking us too much time, then it can be affordable for building owners. Otherwise, again, we will stuck if it's too expensive.
Okay, to make it affordable is something very important because, as Paris said already in the morning session, the EPCs are very different in the different countries. The level, the detail of the EPCs are different, so this is something that reflects on the price. And here in Bulgaria, my colleague Kamen probably can confirm that we have one of the more complex methodology to make EPCs in Europe. Am I right, Kamen? One of the most, okay. So to make it affordable and easy readable for the owners, it's very important. And we have some colleagues with us that have already some experience with SRIs, and I would like to ask them, what are the primary challenges that you are faced during this assessment process? Do you have something which is like an interesting story or some highlights to share with us? Angel, probably,
For the
or
assessors that have already conducted SRIs.
One of the challenge was the knowledge of the current knowledge of auditors, which are not trained to make such assessments. So we even after the training, we distributed some evaluation questionnaires, and we saw many fields of lacking knowledge.
So they need something, a period to be mentored during the first audits?
Sorry?
So the auditors, after this training that they go,
yes,
they need some period to work with somebody else to just guide them.
I would say that there is no clashes with the traditional audits for energy efficiency of the buildings. The process itself, it discover, so to say, gray zone between the assessor and the specification of the measures which are already in the catalog of these 54 prepared in advance measures. And the advantage of our work for the time being is that this catalog is incorporated in the software, and it facilitates the assessor, and also it saves time to choose the proper measures when describing the building. The thing is that it shows also it's not a problem, it's just a matter of future. It suggests that our assessor should specify exactly according to the catalog the measures, and in this way they should be introduced in the software. Because some buildings, they have, for example, less technical building systems. For example, one kindergarten has only one heating and hot water system and lighting. But when describing the level of the intelligence of the control, the assessor should know very well what the controller of for example, of the gas boiler can do. And it's just a matter of tuning, of fine-tuning this controller, which is practically means zero investment. It's a matter of better maintenance. So these are some findings which are now we collecting during the process of the SRI assessment. This catalog is developed by European Commission. It's financed by the European Commission, and this catalog of 54 measures can be modified by each country. It can be enlarged or it can be shortened. But for the time being, I would say it's advantage of a good tool when it's incorporated in the software.
Okay, thank you very much. And I have one more question to the other colleagues that have some experience with the SRI assessment. When you make the assessments, do you talk with the building owners? Do you have some exchange of information? How do you get the data that you are needed? I mean, you go there and just see the systems, or you make something like an interview with the owner of the buildings? Probably you can answer.
Actually, my experience was with already done energy audits, and we weren't able to contact a lot with, talk a lot with the building owner. So I'm not sure how to answer exactly this question. So I answered it, but probably Chris, if you have some more information, you've done a lot of.
Yes, we collect a lot of information during the energy auditing process, and we can use this information to, let's say, make some models on SRI tool. The most powerful thing in this tool is that you can make a different assessment on the other way for each building. You can make assessment for example, for the building before renovation, you can easily see what SRI she has. And on this base, you can show to the owner what is the benefit really of the renovation itself. It's not about APC only and the energy class of building, but it's a more complicated. It's a whole level of automation and intelligence of this building. What I mean that with when you have a building without, let's say, without monitoring and control system, probably you will have a lower SRI, let's say, no more than 20%. Yes, but when you implement monitoring and building management system in the same building, you can increase that the SRI more than this 20%. And this effectively has a big impact on the energy class. Let's say you have an old building with energy class G, for example, with SRI score, for example, 17 or 20. After a general renovation, including not only the BMS systems, but with building envelope, let's say some improvements of the HAV systems, you can take a more higher score. For example, we're talking about 40–50% SRI after renovation, which is a big difference to the base condition of the building before renovation. We're talking about more than 20, maybe 30% difference, which is a higher energy efficiency, let's say.
So we can say that after we implement all the passive measures in our buildings, I mean the insulation, the changing of the windows and so on, we can additionally improve our energy efficiency relying on the intelligent technologies. Am I right?
Yes, you're absolutely right. And the other benefit are from the SRI is that you can manage and see the big role of the building management system in the buildings itself. You can not only control and monitoring, but you can improve the internal quality of, let's say, of life of occupants in this building for low cost, of course.
And can we say that these smart things can improve our comfort within the building? Is it only for energy efficiency, or we are talking about the higher comfort?
Well, the things are related, and the high energy efficiency impacts a higher SRI score. That is normal because the building has a better characteristics, let's say.
Okay, so I have some more questions. I like to ask questions. And my next question is, how do you think, can we improve in somehow the data collection process in order to be more efficient when we collect the data? I mean, to make our administrative work more easy and to be able to deliver the final product, I mean the SRI assessment, more fast and to make it affordable as well. If we have a building that has already EPC, I understand it's easy because we have a lot of information. But if we do not have this EPC, what are our instruments to do so? Could you think about some optimizations as an engineers?
Well, this was always an issue during the development of energy audits, because if we're doing an energy audit of a newer building, let's say, that have all the documentation, it's much easier. You can get the projects, you can see the needed information there. But when we're talking about a 20, 30 years old building, then we don't have anything. So more or less site visit at least twice is really needed. We also cannot rely on the building users, because they are not experts, they cannot provide us this information. So yeah, there is not an easy way. You have to go there and see for yourself.
But when it comes to the SRI assessment, I think the building owners have a very important role, because they are the person who operate these buildings. I mean, they more or less know their system, and probably it's about how we are asking our questions, not what we are asking, but how we are asking. What do you think?
For sure, if we have the right person there, but not always like that. You know.
Not always the case. Okay. I understand.
So yeah, short questionnaire, maybe a checklist.
But do you think that
maybe a good idea? But anyway, when we do the energy audit, we have to find a way to get this information one way or another. So it's
yes, but
building
in
specific.
case that we don't have energy audit, do the, for example, facility managers can do the trick, or other stakeholders that could help us in deliver the SRI in an affordable way?
Of course they can, but for me, dividing the SRI assessment from the energy audit means that we have to, let's say, double efforts for a building, because anyway, buildings are obliged to have energy audits, according to our legislation, according to all other countries' legislation. So if they are obliged to have an energy audit, then my thoughts are that it's better to make it part of the energy audit, because after all, with one visit or two visits, we can do both. Not doing first the SRI assessment, then go back after a year and start collecting more and more data for the energy audit. So a combination of both is preferable for me.
Is the right approach.
I also wanted to add that having prepared any kind of questionnaires, templates or checklists, it would be very, very useful. I wanted to mention that recently in February there was issued a roadmap for the set of EPB standards with regard to the key global changes. And in this roadmap, the standard or any kind of guidance connected to the SRI was not lightened as highest importance thing. Probably it's worth to think about including it.
Okay, and the next question, it's more tricky. In your opinion, how many assessors can make one SRI for one day? Yeah, how many assessors do you need? I mean, could you make SRI for one day, or you need 3 days, or you need a team of 4 engineers, or you can do it for half an hour and some paperwork after that?
If you have the proper tool and you have the building that is close to you, because as an assessor you have to go there and see what's happening, and the person there is adequate, I don't know, and then you should be able to do at least one SRI per one engineer a day.
A day, okay.
Yeah, really. That's my opinion.
Actually, it depends. Again, it's the issue with the data collection. If you have the data, you can do it for even half a day, according to me. But getting the data from the building owners and the building users is the process that takes time.
Okay, and do you think if we have something like a checklist for the building owners with information that we'll need in advance will help to facilitate this process and to speed up? I mean,
Absolutely.
it's like a part of the procedure. You need to provide me this, then this data, and I will make your assessment in one day.
Absolutely, yes.
Okay. Somebody to have another opinion or something else to share on this? Okay. So,
Can I make a small comment?
yes, for sure, always.
So we had a previous question on the template that you were given for collecting the information. And a reply was that, okay, we have the tool and we document all the information in the tool. At least what concerns the EPCs, and this is something that we assume that it will be similar for the SRIs, the auditors are requested to maintain let's say, repository of the information that they used for their assessment. And usually this repository consists of evidences, regardless of the tool that we have used to document this information. So that is why this template is delivered as an individual document in order for you to be able to keep your evidences. Let me keep this in another way. I'm not an auditor, I don't have a single idea what SRI is, and I'm just taking a tool, the Smart Ready Go tool or the Excel file, and I just tick 10 things inside and I say, okay, this is the audit. And this is, so what is the evidence? How can I justify that I have considered the installed equipment and I have all the information required to prove my assessment? So this is the meaning of the template, and this is the meaning of keeping the information in an individual way, regardless the tool that we are using. At the end of the day, yes, we are going to use a tool. So having said that, with your permission, Antonia, I would like to discuss this anew with you. So do you think that having a template like the one that you received is useful for keeping evidences of your audits? How would you see this, let's say, template being delivered digitally, in a hard copy? And what practices do you follow to keep your evidences when conducting an SRI audit? So let's try to clarify this because it's crucial for the workshop. Thank you.
Well, in my opinion, it's very important to have a good template, and this template to be filled properly and signed even of the contractor. But there is another way. If you can't rely on the data filled by contractor for any reason, let's say it's not a technical, it's not a technician and don't have experience, he's not trained, and he don't know what kind of specific information you may need for your assessment. There is another way, but this is much, let's say, much expensive. There is a companies here in Bulgaria that offer to contractor for, let's say, to do some contract for monitoring. They can install sensors and measuring instruments in the building. Of course, after having a contract with the contractor, and they can drop a real data for the building systems. What exactly is happening in every system? Let's say heating system, domestic hot water system, lighting, and after collecting all of this data, we talking about a period minimum for 3 or 6 months, let's say. They have a quite bright picture for the energy performance, the real energy performance in this building, and in this way they can do let's say better assessment, including SRI, but not only for this building, and can provide the right measures to the owner to achieve a high energy efficiency. Well, this is the other way, if we can rely on the data by the
If my understanding is correct, this was specified in the beginning that we should rely not on operational results, but from the asset. So I think in this case there is reason for some template to be filled and undersigned or stamped by the owner himself.
Okay, Paris, do you have some other comments? No, it's fine? Okay. So I have one probably last question from my side, but I cannot promise.
The assessor, the energy efficiency assessor, should consider all 9 technical building systems in order to take into consideration all criteria included when you evaluate the SRI. These 9 technical building systems are heating, cooling, lighting, hot water, ventilation for fresh air, electricity. Electricity is produced on site or from photovoltaic systems or from cogeneration, for example, and also electrical charging columns for electrical vehicles and monitoring and operation system of the building. The more technical building systems you have, the higher is the SRI. This is our first conclusion. If they operate in an optimal way, and also the second higher step is to integrate this system. Integrate because you can have, for example, 2 or 3 energy management system which operates in, for example, air conditioning system in a perfect way, but there is no communication with the central system. The end user doesn't know, for example, how long it works in the summer and how it's going to pay, etc. Because energy efficiency is just only one of the 7 criteria according to the methodology of the SRI. So energy efficient building does not guarantee that the SRI will be high. So that is why the approach of the assessor should consider all these 9 technical systems, and this is the easiest way in early stage of design to specify this measure, and then in the investment project the design team will specify this, and in this way you'll get energy efficient building and also intelligent building, both I mean for the new building. For renovation, the approach should be also similar for the SRI assessor.
Okay, so this makes me ask you another question. What do you think? Could you assess the building, but not a real building, but the project, the design of the building at designing phase, when you start to assess all the elements, the architecture, the building systems, the constructions, because sometimes we need some details to arrange all these building systems and to make them working as a one, you know? What do you think? Is it possible to assess the SRI at this phase of the projects, or only in existing building when more or less we are limited with some customers?
Okay.
Alexander, it's your turn. You're the designer here.
Yeah, and I'm the designer. So it's possible, of course, to do it on the design phase, but there will be some estimations that you have to do, like how the building will be maintained. So it won't be 100% correct after the building is put on. Operate. Yeah.
So we can say that the designer and the assessor could be a team and could work together to collaborate in order to deliver a building with highest possible quality.
Why not?
And this is for Stanislav. What do you think about the smart grid integration and in terms of the liberalization of the market? Because in Bulgaria we are on a regulated market, and probably it's an interesting topic.
Yes, but we are far behind with smart metering compared to other EU countries. So I wouldn't rely on this in the next 4 or 5 years in Bulgaria, because actually smart metering is not happening here, and we need a lot of regulation changes and a lot of investments to have actually smart metering, and then try to, let's say, adjust building behavior based on grid signals. Because for residential buildings, whatever we do, it will not reflect on our bills, let's say. And this is lack of motivation, of course.
Thank you very much, and I believe Paris will also have a question.
Okay, I think this could be a closing question and a general question. So you have received from us the draft of the workshop report, which describes the proposed procedures for conducting an on-site SRI audit. The idea is that all across Europe, all engineers in Greece, in Bulgaria, in France, in Spain, in Germany, as in the case of the energy audits, we use a similar way of conducting an audit so that it is reliable and we can rely on the results of any audit in Sofia, in Athens, in Madrid, in Berlin. In this report, in this draft that you received, do you have any comments on that draft? Is there something that you feel is missing from the draft? Is there something that you liked or something that you didn't like when you read it? Do you find this a comprehensive job, or what are your comments for this report that you were given? So thank you.
Okay, I do not have any specific comments or recommendations. For me, it sounds logical. The challenge here is not about the SRI assessment. The challenge is to unify the EPC on European level, because if we take a look at the analysis, quite a lot of different approaches are used for. Yeah, I know. But after all, if we unify the EPC methodology, then it will be easier to unify also the SRI methodology, because in many countries, for example, you don't rely on actual energy consumption data. It's more theoretical assessment of the building characteristics. For us, as having much, let's say, more complicated methodology for EPC, it's not an issue. It sounds logical, but I don't know for other countries if they, when they're performing energy audits, if they collect all this data that is needed. We sure have this data, and it's easy for us. But I don't know what's in Germany, Norway.
Yeah, just a little bit different point of view about the same methodology in all the countries. Probably the methodology should be very similar, but the scores can be different if it's on north, on the southern part of Europe, of course, because yeah, the costs are different, the heating and cooling demands are much more different in different sides of Europe, so probably the scores should be different.
One more thing, for example, from our perspective in Bulgaria, we have a lot of public buildings, we have a lot of residential buildings that are far, far away from smart, let's say. In kindergartens, we have just heating and hot water, and that's everywhere in Bulgaria. Cooling, ventilation, it's still lacking in Bulgaria. So all these buildings will be with very, very low scores, after all. If we take a look at modern hotels or modern office buildings, they may have a higher score, but I don't know, is it reasonable to think about different scores or different goals for different types of buildings? Residential building is, or single family building is completely different from an office building built 2 years ago with all the systems inside. So it makes comparison of these different types of buildings.
Because of the needs of the buildings as well. The needs of the buildings. I mean, in some buildings you don't need all these systems.
Every building needs cooling, every building needs fresh air, but the issue is that we still don't have these systems in many of our buildings. but we have them in the newer buildings. So I don't know how to distinguish the different types of buildings, and is it reasonable to think about different approaches for scoring the SRI?
Okay.
Well, I have a proposal and recommendation about SRI. Let's say we heard that there is a lot of SRI platforms and softwares. I can talk for my opinion, to SRI Enact program and SRI online tool. And I must say that my recommendation is to unify the output from the different platforms in one, let's say, to look at one way, no matter there is a building in Bulgaria, Greece, or no matter where in the European Union, the output format must look at the same way to make some comparison, let's say, not only for the owner, but for us, for the experts, for auditors, for the assessors, and many other engineers. Let's say, and the politician too, yes.
Paris, what do you think? I think that we go through all of these questions, and I believe that the experts could provide some specific comments on the document after the meeting in written format as well. But I would like to give the floor to our audience if somebody has some question on or would like to share some expressions on this question that we communicated in the last 40 minutes. Irji, on the microphone over there.
Good afternoon. I hope it's working. Yeah, it's working. My name is Yuri Karasek. I'm from 7D Energy Efficiency Center, and I'm involved in SRI Enact project. And I would like to ask you about your experience with demand for SRI assessment. My question is whether you feel some increased demand for SRI assessment on side of building owners or on side of energy auditors. So whether you feel increasing market in this field. In our case, we noticed that among the professionals, among the energy auditors, which are the most important ones for us, the demand is gradually increasing. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Irji, for your question. Stan, probably, do you have some comment? Or?
Well, I haven't seen such growth of demand in Bulgaria. I will just give you an example. We were performing energy audit of a very nice, very new, very modern office building, and we were talking about control, about intelligence, etc., etc., etc. And the owners who were renting the premises said, listen, here there are companies with IT experts, very well paid, and let's say there is a competition between these IT companies to keep their experts. So if the expert in the office wants 27 or 30 degrees in the winter, they will provide him 30 degrees in the winter. No matter what SRI says, no matter what are the building systems, no matter that it's overconsumption of energy, it's not only SRI. The challenge here is to convince building users for relying on SRI and understanding that SRI is providing more comfortable and more healthy environment, and convince them that 30 degrees in the premises in the winter is not what they should chase. So for me, not only the building owner's challenge, but the building user's challenge is to reach actually more efficient and intelligent buildings.
You can use the microphone over there.
Well, thank you for this panel, this discussion panel. I just want to make a small resume of the discussion we had. I've never heard myself about SRI before this morning. Thank you for informing me about it. I'm just surprised that the ponderation of high-tech buildings are so much enhanced by this calculation modus, because you know that we are going in the future in a world of low resources, and I think it would be more interesting to make an emphasis on low-tech buildings than on high-tech buildings.
Thank you.
Maybe some other potential interest have the office building owners and also facility management companies, because I assessed myself such type of buildings, and they are interested to increase the purely from commercial point of view, the interest of their tenants, for example.
Okay, is there some other questions or comments? They are very welcome. Drago?
Thanks to the panel, first of all, and I'm sorry I'm probably moving a little bit away from Paris' scenario, but I want to get the question back to the market demand, as Jiří started. And first of all, I trust the SRI method is applicable to both low-tech and high-tech buildings at the points of providing comfort with the most reasonable technologies for the specific function of the building. But then the question would be to the colleagues who have experience both with the assessment and the potential end users. And I'd like to ask Angel and Pepi, first of all, which were the most susceptible or the most willing types of clients for your SRI assessment? Model procedure, I think that you already conducted more than 100 audits, so that would be interesting, I think, for everybody to know which is the niche market that probably we should target in the beginning. And then I would like to involve also Zdravko Georgiev from Sofena in the discussion, because, well, you know, the stance example for the IT people demands for certain comfort is an interesting story, but at the end of the day, we need to educate from those types of buildings that have exemplary functions. And it's not a surprise to say that these are precisely the public buildings, the kindergartens, the schools, which have the hospitals, that have to show what is the actual comfort and hygiene conditions in the buildings that we have to pursue. So Zdravko, my question to you would be, do you see a market in the municipalities? You're working a lot of them.
Okay, thanks, Drago. In our project, the approach was mostly top-down. We approached the building owners through the auditors who already had the collected data from audits. So we didn't have the building owners come to us and say, we want that we are audited. No, we did it through auditors, but in our experience, in addition to the main interested client, which are the high-level Class A office buildings who want to make more marketing and attract higher value clients, renters, other interest can be seen by public authorities who want also for marketing purposes to demonstrate high class of their buildings, for example, kindergartens, to make visible their smartness and consumption.
Okay, thank you. And Zdravko?
Okay, well, as a process control engineer and automation engineer, I always try to focus on this issue when we are speaking for buildings and industrial enterprises as well. Always it tends to, let's make first the insulation, good facades, and then we can speak for the installations, etc. Of course, there is a huge demand because there is also understanding, let's say in a higher level, that okay, well, we have now insulated buildings, but the comfort is not always improved, and they need additional measures to change the installations. Usually now heat pumps are top solution, and this need additional automation, additional measures regarding to the automation. Also the car charging, this is a new issue, of course, but it's part of SRI indicator. So, of course, there should be demand in the municipalities, but we have to explain them what is the next and how it will be done. And then there are also problems with the implementation, unfortunately. Okay, in the regulations, in the standards, there are some requirements, building codes, etc., for building automation, for measuring of each circuit, etc. The main circuits, of course, for electricity. But the realization is not good, let's say. So the work should be focused again on education, awareness raising, and then we can expect higher demand. But regarding the momentum, yes, now it's a good momentum because after this renovation of buildings with only insulation measures and facades and elements, changing of passive elements of the buildings, we need to work more on active systems. Whiting is easier, but also heating, ventilation, and air conditioning, this is the topic. And with climate change, needs for adaptation measures, etc., this should be focused not only for Sofia as a big city, but to all municipalities to work on this. And then we speak again what is the first information, the monitoring of the system, and next developing projects, design, of course, but also implementation, good specification of the buildings, because yes, we have seen also buildings with a lot of opportunities for control, building BMS systems, good systems, but adjustments, problems with hydraulic systems, needed of additional adjustments and repairment even of some systems. This is always a problem in operation, during the operation. So the smart readiness indicator, I can finish like this, but is a good picture showing the current situation and what is the potential of improvement of the building. But the next one is to be operational, to be recognized by the technical person, to be maintain these automation systems and to have a good operation in future. And this is our role as well, not only to explain the smart readiness indicator, but to explain that this is a question of maintenance, of operation, facility management, further improvement, and it's a process. It's not only current situation and picture of the building. Okay.
Thank you, Zdravko, very much for this comment. I totally agree that it's not just about to have a certificate or whatever. It's about what are you doing after that, and do you have the knowledge what to do. So this is the important role of the consultant or assessor as well. And my colleagues give me a sign that we have one last comment, and it will be from our online participant. So, hello, the floor is yours. Yeah, we can hear you very well. Thank you very much for your comment. Actually, we are talking exactly about standards and standardizing the procedures for this SRI assessment. But I'm impressed of this initiate in Poland, and I think it's a good finish of this panel discussion. I would like to thanks to all of the participants. And as my colleague Stanislav noted me, it's time for lunch. So welcome, the lunch is outside. We will continue after the lunch with some education and training topics. So stay with us. We're talking about the NZEPs. Thank you.